Well, hello everyone. This is Carrie back with How to Homeschool My Child. Today I'm going to be sharing 7 homeschool scheduling tricks that I actually used in our homeschool. For those of you that don't know me, I'm going to introduce myself and then we're going to dive right into some scheduling tricks. So if you happen to pop on during here, please leave your name and why don't you tell us, it is January, what is your favorite winter activity? Could leave that in the comment as well. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. I have 3 kids that we homeschool for 10 years. I was actually a public school teacher. I was actually answering some questions and doing some things here in top groups and started to all of a sudden find other people that were here that were former public school teachers. So sort of cool. These are my kids. I always like to introduce them because I want you to know the things that I am sharing with you today are real life tips and tricks. So let's get started. This is Gentry, my middle daughter. She is married to Andrew. It's sort of a little maybe fuzzy. And then they have Landry was here just this week, and she actually is not that little anymore. She toodles around. Anyway, she's our middle daughter. Ashley is married to Jesse, and they have Faith and Elizabeth, and then Hunter is the baby of the family. I will be mentioning them throughout, and I just like people to sort of put a face to a name when I'm talking to them. All 3 of my kids were homeschooled. We did that for 10 years, and the girls graduated. Hunter actually went back to a private Christian school his 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year, and it was a blessing. So let's talk about homeschool scheduling. I'm going to talk about that, and I'll actually give you some organization and maybe some management tips along the way. You know, when I hear moms say what overwhelms them over and over and over, I get planning and lots of kids and how do I deal with the toddlers, that kind of thing. There are so many questions. And then what do I do each day? Do I do 4 days or 5 days? Do I do year-round school or do I do traditional school? Who knows what to do? So we're going to start out with some daily tricks, then we'll go to weekly, and then we'll go to yearly as well. Feel free to leave your name and just tell us what your favorite winter activity is. So, and I actually have some notes to share with you. So the first trick is whatever you do first thing in the day is your most important thing. Whether it's what you say or whether it's what you actually do, but whatever is most important to you in your heart is what you start your day with. So for me, we started our day with family devotions. We spent time. That's just, our faith is number 1 thing in my life. Now, whether you agree with me or don't, I think the most important thing that you do every day is how we start your day. We actually did this at breakfast time, and we built relationships. We built relationships among ourselves. We built relationships with God. It was a great time. And to me, it was the most important thing that we could do each day. And so we would start our day with family devotions. Then we would sort of break up from breakfast. And one thing that I will just give you a clue. I led devotions for a while because there were some times in our early marriage that I was nag. I was nagging Steve all the time about doing family devotion. He just wanted to fly by the seat of his pants. He said, when it comes up, we'll do it. I heard a James Dobson talk, and it was about 3 blocks over there. I was driving down, and I learned zip my mouth and start praying to God. And it didn't change in a week. It didn't change in a month. It didn't change in a year. It took several years. And then all of a sudden, Steve was on board, and he led family devotions. And so we did it a little differently, but he took charge. He took the lead. And I had to learn to submit to that. And I needed to let him take the lead on family devotions. And so that was an answer to prayer. One thing I learned about that is that God doesn't always have the same time as me. I would have liked for him to just jump in immediately. But it probably took 3, 4, or 5 years before he was on board. But once he was on board, he was completely on board. He would eat faster than the kids for breakfast, and then he would be able to lead devotions while they were still eating. Me too. Then after that, so we would start our day at breakfast. We ate breakfast together. Now, I like to cook. You may not like to cook. Then just pull some dry cereal out. It doesn't really matter. But get your day started together. Then we would actually break up And everyone had their own thing. You all needed to go brush your teeth, make your bed, get dressed, practice the piano. And we had about 30 minutes in there that everyone did their own thing. There was a time when the kids were little, they'd be on the other side of this wall and they would be singing their Old Testament song or their Greek and Rome song. I had songs to learn, all sorts of things. And they'd pop in there and they'd be over there dancing and singing and having a good time. So that was how we started the beginning of our day. After that, the very next thing I did was family time. Now, you might be going, well, what is family time? Well, let me tell you, I just messed up my computer. Family time began out of me falling asleep when I would read aloud to my kids at lunchtime the very first year. And I thought, I like reading. I want my kids to love reading. If I fall asleep, that's a really bad picture. And so I discovered that I needed to do something different. I hope that's high enough. So we would start our day every day after breakfast, devotions, get ready, brush your teeth, do all those things. Very first thing was not math, was not book work, was not one sitting. This was the room that we actually did homeschooling in. It was spending time together as a family. And it always included at least 30 minutes of reading aloud. Whether I was reading aloud or whether we had an audiobook like Jim Hodges audiobooks, we would listen to those as well. And that also built relationships. Now, that family time included a lot of things, and it included a lot of extracurricular things. We had poetry reading at that time. We would do Bible study. If they were working on a Bible study one day out of the week, we'd take about 5 or 10 minutes and talk about that. It may be art appreciation. I had great books, and I thought I may have one here, but I actually cleaned up and decluttered. We would read a book and we just open it to one page and look at one piece of art. We might listen to classical kids music. We would do whatever was going on. At the beginning, we would be sure each of our kids would read a poem out loud. I was afraid of poetry. I didn't understand poetry when I was growing up. I didn't want my kids to have that same attitude towards poetry. So we got books like Shel Silverstein, Where the Sidewalk Ends, and some New Kid on the Block. There were some fun books that we would do because I wanted to change their attitude. But then we always had 30 minutes of read aloud time. Now, when we did read aloud time, and I talked a little bit about this weekend, because this past weekend was my weekend takeover. So I'm sort of repeating. I actually have a post. I will share it here on Family Time, and it gives you all the details of what we did. I also have a book list that you can get, and it is our favorite family read alouds. There are 1 or 2 books that were on every one of the people in my family. All the kids, all the parents, everyone had. One of them was Little Britches, and I think the other one was Jotham's Journey. It's a Christmas book. But we would read those books aloud. This was not a time to dissect the book, analyze the plot and the setting. It was a time for my kids to become absorbed in the book. Not all kids in my family liked the same kind of books, so we would rotate the topics. So we did not spend time on the exact same topics. So first thing is we did the most important thing first. That was for us family devotions at breakfast time. Next most important thing was family time. The second year of homeschooling, my kids were like, what if we don't finish math? I was like, well, you know what? Mom's in charge. This is what's most important. I bet we can work it all out, because they were very concerned about not finishing certain things. Then after that, and let's say that was about 9:30 or 10, the whole rest of the morning, my kids and we worked on individual studies. This is when they actually worked by themselves. So we were lucky enough. We had this room, and each of my kids had a desk, and I would go to the kitchen, and they would come individually to the kitchen to work with me on whatever it is they need to learn. Hunter, when he was in 1st grade, was learning how to read. You know, the girls might come and learn their grammar or work on their writing. How does that work in real life? What I would do is I'd actually give my kids a lesson plan, and it had a page protector, and they could check it off with a dry erase marker when they were done. I purposefully put things on their lesson plan that I knew they could do independently. Now, if you've got a 5 or 6-year-old and you're like, well, I don't know what they can do while I'm working with my 10-year-old, give them a coloring page. It doesn't matter. Give them something they can do on their own. Tell them they've got this box of Legos and I want to see the best castle they can create. That's okay, you know, but for my kids, they were actually able to sit here and do some work. Now, I will tell you one of the biggest concerns that you have said over the weekend, how to quiet the chaos. What causes my worst overwhelm? And what people keep telling me is, how do I deal with my toddlers and preschoolers? And so I'm not going to go into that right now. I will say that for me, Hunter was 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old, the first year I homeschooled Ashley. I use the TV. Yes, I put him in front of the TV for 1 solid hour. I think it was Blue's Clues or something like that back then. I used the TV. Now, he didn't watch TV all the rest of the day. Maybe in the evening he would. But I put him in front of the TV. That was a crime, according to some people. But I used it. Now, there are other things you can do besides the TV. You could give them some quiet games. Like, I have kids that love puzzles. My grandkids do. So you could give them puzzles. That's probably not going to last very long. But I think one thing you need to do is be organized. And as soon as you put that kid in front, the toddler, the preschooler, you give them something to do. You don't go get a cup of coffee. You don't go to the bathroom. You go immediately to the child who needs your help. And you spend time with them, even if it's only 10 minutes, and it is very concentrated, 10 or 15 minutes that you can actually work with them. If you have ideas about how to help with toddlers and preschoolers, please share them. That's what we are here for. I hope that hopefully in the next month or two, I hope to have a whole list of ideas that actually work with toddlers and preschoolers. I get this question over and over again. I'm trying to work with my 6-year-old, my 9-year-old, my 12-year-old, what I do with the 4-year-old or the 3-year-old. I will tell you, my daughter, she has a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and the 3-year-old actually goes to a Mother's Day out 3 days a week, so she can get a lot done during that time. But when the 3-year-old is at home, they actually do things together. So she plans some activities that they can actually work on together. So that's another thing. If you have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, find activities they could actually do together as well. And you're just going to have to schedule that. So during this individual time, we're talking like 9:30 or 10 to 12:30. We would eat lunch about 12:30. And they each worked. And I would come in here, even if I were finished working with each of them individually, I would come in this room and I would check on them. I wasn't on Facebook. Well, first of all, this thing didn't even exist. We had dumb phones. We did not have smartphones. I did not get on that. I did not get on the computer. So that was my tendency. I didn't want my kids to think all I did was sit on front of the computer. I didn't get on the computer until the afternoon after lunch, unless it was to print out a page of something we needed to work on. But I tried to have all of that printed ahead of time. Do not get on this thing. It is so distracting. Get away from it. And I will tell you, I mean, I talked to my parents about an hour ago. We had a message yesterday about social media. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But so we spent time from about 9:30 or 10 till 12:30 individual time. If they finished, good, go play, go do something. I will say that we took about a 15-minute break. My kids went outside, even if it were cold or hot and sweaty. They went outside and played for 15 minutes, say around 10:15 or 10:30, came in, had a snack, and then they were able to sort of rethink and get concentrated work done. Next, what happened after that? We had lunch, afternoon, and dinner. What did we do? Well, here's what we did. We ate lunch together. Lunch is my least favorite thing of the whole day, meals or anything. So, lunch we ate together. Even when my kids were way past naps, we had quiet time. And you went in your room and you had at least 1 hour of quiet time. This would help you also, and I'm telling you, everyone had a quiet time. Toddler, preschooler, that was just my schedule, but that was my schedule from birth. My kids always went down, and when they were finished with naps, it was quiet time. They could have a book, they could have something. If they didn't sleep, they could play quietly, they could write, they could draw, whatever. They had quiet time. Now, a lot of times, once we started homeschooling in the afternoon, they had books that they were supposed to be reading silently, and that was their time to read by themselves. This gave me refreshment time. And I did not get on this thing. I didn't have this thing. I didn't get on the computer. I'll be honest. There were a lot of times I would take a 10-minute power nap. I put the timer on my, or alarm on my clock, and I would lay down for 10 minutes and I would get sleep because I needed it. And then I was ready and I had 45 minutes to get something done. I was focused. I knew what I was doing. It does take some organization. But I needed a break. We all needed a break. And so the first thing after lunch was a quiet time. The rest of the time in the afternoon it varied. If they had a practice they needed to get to, they did. We planned a girls' club one year, and we would take turns once a week going to a different girls' house, and that girl had some sort of, they were all homeschoolers, educational activity. We would sometimes just invite friends over. If they wanted to do science experiments or art projects, that was the time we could do it. It was not real planned, because I expected all homework, schoolwork to be done in here. If they couldn't finish it there, it didn't get done. And I'm not going to get into attitudes and child discipline, attitude adjustment. If it's not getting done, it's an attitude issue. It's a behavior. It's a respectful problem. That's not what we're here to talk about. I am actually, after reading all y'all's responses over the weekend, thinking I'm going to do Attitude Adjustment 101 again in February. It's a free masterclass that I offer. So I hope I will be announcing that here. Then we would eat dinner together. Dinners together were educational. They weren't academic, but they were educational. We spent time together. We would talk together. We would have discussions. The discussions were not always academic. They could have been biblical. They could have been sports. We're a sports family. If you saw my post yesterday, I've got a free Super Bowl unit study. Go get it. It would be fun. And it has football stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I will be talking about that on Friday. I don't know my time, but right here, I'll be talking about Super Bowl and teamwork. So if you want to learn about teamwork in your family, or football and sports and inspiring a love of learning, I'll be talking about all of that. Anyway, that is Friday. So we would have lots of different kinds of discussions as well. Now, I did make a list of what actually goes on here. Oh, the other thing is, after dinner, Steve would read aloud. On nights that he was reading aloud, he would read aloud. If we had a little league game, we went as a family. We didn't leave kids at home. Everyone went as a family. If we had two different places, we divide and conquer. Steve took kids here, I went here. Because all of them loved to play softball or baseball. And so we had to work out that schedule. But these are some of the things that we did in the afternoon. Quiet time in your room. Mom needs this too. Play outside, silent reading time, girls club once a week, sports practices or games, arts and crafts, science projects, other weekly activities or classes, play with friends. And I've told other people this. Sometimes the first thing we did when they got out of their quiet time was have a snack and then put the timer on for 15 minutes and we did some kind of cleaning. And then, so that was like about, 20 or 30 minutes. And the rest of the day, they could do the rest of these things. So if you're struggling with getting the house clean, put a timer on and let's work together as a team. I'll be talking about teamwork on Friday. All right, so that is tip number 4. First things first, family devotions. Second tip is family time. Third is individual studies. Next is lunch and afternoon dinner. Let's move to weekly. Okay, what do we do? Do we do a 4 or 5 day week? Let me just give you, I think it's a personal preference. You've got to decide what fits your family this year. It may change from year to year. But here's some ideas. If you were to go 4 day week and take Fridays off, you could use Fridays for field trips. You could use them for running errands. You could use them for fun activities, getting together with other friends. You could use this as a free day. I've also heard of parents that use Wednesday as their day off because it's the middle of the week. School Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, school Thursday, Friday, off Saturday and Sunday. I love it. That's great. So that would be another way you could do it. 4 days a week, if you were to do that, gives you space in your life. And I think it helps get rid of the busyness. If there's anything we are known for, and that COVID helped, is we are too busy as a nation. We are too busy as homeschoolers. We are using this to compare ourselves to everyone, and we need to quit doing that because we keep thinking, if I add another activity, I'll be a better mom. It doesn't work. Build a relationship with your kids. That is how you can be the best mom, homeschool mom or otherwise. Build relationships with your kids. Best mom ever. I can tell you right now, I have a great relationship with all my kids. Do we agree on everything? No. Do we have the same priorities? No. Do we love each other? Yes. Are we there for each other when we need to be? Yes. And are my kids as adults friends? Yes. Did they argue and get in fights as kids? Yes. Build relationships with your kids. So I really think this is a preference. We actually did 5 days a week, and it didn't seem to be a problem. But we did 5 days a week, and I cut it off right here at lunchtime. That was it. I was done with homeschooling. None of this dragging it out all day long, like some of y'all have said. Again, I think that's a character issue. So tip number 5 is you need to decide 4 or 5 day week. And I would encourage you to pray to God and see what he wants you to do. Year-round or traditional? Let's talk about year-round or traditional. I am more of a traditional person. I didn't want to homeschool year-round. I actually have some reasons for that. God took a break on the 7th day and rested. I believe we needed a rest from homeschooling all the year round. So we personally homeschool from Labor Day to Memorial Day. And in the summertime, we took off. No more academics. Did my kids quit learning? Did we quit reading out loud? No. They kept learning. We kept reading out loud. That was the one thing we did year round, was read out loud. We went to the library every week. They did all the library challenges and whatever they did. We actually rewarded our kids. If they made a goal of a certain number of books and we met it as a family, we would do something special. There was time, I know we went to Fiesta, Texas a couple times, which is in San Antonio, and we went away for the day. It was a lot of fun, but we rewarded them for that. So year-round or traditional. Now, I will say if you go year-round, you still need to take breaks. So here's what I would suggest. I love this idea. Well, there's a few things. You could go 3 weeks on, 1 week off, like I did with Grace Week. If you want to know more about Grace Week, go look at the post I made here in Top Picks. But I have another idea that I thought was really cool. A friend of mine can't do that because of their business. They need to take breaks at different times than just in the summertime. And for their family, what worked best for them was 6 weeks on, 1 week off. 6 weeks on, 1 week off. 6 weeks on, 1 week off. Sound familiar? Sort of like the days of creation. Work 6 days, take a day off. I thought that would be a good way to do it. But the biggest thing is you need to take it off. Your kids need a break. You need a break as well. So I highly encourage you to find some way to homeschool. Now, number 7. Oh, here it is. Oh, I was like, where's my other one? 7. To me, this is the most important tip I'm going to give you, or trick all. Give yourself grace. Give your kids grace. If I've heard it once, I've heard it over and over again. I heard it all during Christmas. I even heard it over the weekend. And no, I don't want to cancel the video. Well, if I take a week off for Grace Week, then we'd be all behind on our curriculum. You know what? Sometimes building relationships is more important than finishing a curriculum. I was a public school teacher for 6 years. I can tell you I never finished a textbook in the year. There was always stuff that we didn't finish. And if public schools can do that, why can't you? Give yourself grace. You don't need to finish everything. I will tell you how we did it. In history, I remember there was a time we were in the middle of Roman history and Memorial Day came in May. We stopped. We spent our summer. We picked it right back up in September. It happened to be, I think it was the Katrina hurricane, the one in New Orleans, because when we started up, all the things happening in Rome were the exact same things that were happening in the Superdome in New Orleans. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. But we just stopped and we picked up wherever we were. Same with math. If we were finished, we just picked up wherever we were and we started it again. I had to give myself grace. I had to be flexible. It is really hard for a type A person to be like that. But I'm telling you, it will work and it can help you. Give yourself grace. Give your kids grace. Let them be kids. Don't keep pounding all this stuff, and don't feel like you have to do every single activity that there ever was. That was who I was. You need to give yourself grace. You need to quit comparing yourself. You need to probably take a break from social media. My pastor got on it yesterday. We were talking about callings of God. You are called to be a homeschool teacher right now, and you should not be comparing yourself to what God's calling another homeschool mom to do. You need to go to God, and you need to just do what He is calling you to do, and quit comparing yourself. In fact, I would encourage you to take a fast. Get off of social media for a while. That, to me, is probably one of the most important things that you can do. I know I have not looked at my feed since the beginning of June. If my girls post pictures of my grandkids and I'm looking at notifications, yes, because here we are on Facebook, and I'm telling you to get off Facebook. I use it for business. I use it for homeschooling. That's pretty much it. So, let's see. Number 1 tip, do the most important thing first, family devotions. Family time, number 2, and get all those extracurricular things done and get reading aloud done. Individual studies, and be finished with school at lunchtime. It is possible. We did it for 10 years. Then take your lunch, your afternoon, and dinners, and use that purposefully. But let your kids be kids, and use your dinner time for something important with your husband. You need to decide about 4 or 5 days and what's best for your family this year. Are you going to go year-round or traditional? I gave you pros and cons. Give yourself grace and give your kids grace. Now, I want to close with a freebie and a special sale. Actually, a few freebies. I got a whole bunch of extra little things. So, first thing is I have a freebie, and it looks like I didn't put the link on there. There is in the homeschool household management bundle of freebies here at Top Picks. If you go there, my freebie is homeschool schedule ideas. It's an ebook. It will actually give you the actual lesson plan. It's real boring. No pictures, no frou-frou. It's boring. But I used it for me every week, and I used it for my kids, and it works. So that's in there. I have 2 sales. You can use the code TOPJanuary, and you can get our Busy Moms Organization Toolkit or our Drama Free Mom Bundle for only $16. They are worth $46 and $45. You can get it for $16. This goes to the end of January using code TOPJanuary. That's a special that we have, and that should be announced here at Top Picks sometime this week. But that is something, and I can tell you the Busy Moms Organization Toolkit is a workbook and a book, and it gives you actual things that you can work through to get organized. The Drama Free Mom, which you can barely read any of that up there, I bet, is my ebook. Oh, and this also includes, I think, 2 video workshops as well. Drama Free Mom Bundle includes our ebook called Drama Free Mom: Finding Peace in Your Life, Your Home, and Your Family. And it also includes an audio workshop and 2 video workshops. The links are here in the description. Use the code TOPJanuary through the end of January, and you can get those for $16 as well. Finally, this weekend here, I have a January giveaway. It's for a $10 Amazon gift card. I have given you 5 questions, and if you will go and search the word January giveaway, you should be able to find all 5 questions. If you leave a comment on all 5 of them, you are entered into our contest, and I will choose a winner tomorrow. And these are just questions. We are trying to find the things that you need the most. We want to help you the best way we can. And so if you'll go in and answer those questions, it will help us through the rest of the year give you what would be most helpful. And then finally, tomorrow I have a class. It's a free class called Start School Right in 2021. It will be talking a little bit about what I have talked about tonight. It will be also giving you my 4 steps to start your school year right. Get organized, get managed, get your schedule going. And so that is also available. It is at 8 o'clock Eastern time, same time as this one. And so we will be back. I will be back tomorrow. You have to sign up to be able to get the link to do the live. We will be taking Q&A. And I should have been telling you all along, if you have questions, pop them in the comment box, but I sort of forgot. So I sure appreciate your time. I am Carrie Beck with How to Homeschool My Child. I hope that these 7 tricks will help you in scheduling your day, your week, and your year. But most of all, I hope that you will give yourself grace. Quit comparing yourself. Give your kids grace. Quit comparing your kids to all the other kids. And if you need some of our freebies, our schedule freebie, or our sales, those are also in the description as well. I appreciate your time tonight. Y'all have a great evening. Carrie Beck, How to Homeschool My Child.